Dallas Stars scandal, threats, blackmail in minor hockey exposed. Imagine your child's dreams of playing hockey being crushed, not by a lack of talent, but by alleged threats and blackmail. That's the shocking reality some families in Dallas are reportedly facing, and it all centers around the Dallas Stars' involvement in minor hockey. Hockey's popularity in the United States is undeniably on the rise. We've seen teams establish themselves in non-traditional markets like Arizona, Florida, and Texas, making the sport more accessible to a wider audience. This increased accessibility is translating into more players from these regions making their mark on the sport. Look at Austin Matthews, for example. He grew up in Arizona. Had he been born just 2 decades earlier, his path to hockey stardom might have been drastically different, perhaps even impossible. And in Texas, the growth of minor hockey is a testament to this expanding reach. The Dallas Stars, a major player in the region, have invested heavily in minor hockey, seemingly fostering its development. But here's where it gets controversial. A recent investigative report by Kenny Jacoby in USA Today, https://www.usatoday.com/stories/news/investigation/2025/08/NHL, Dallas Stars, Texas Youth Hockey Monopoly, 842-891-8400-7, pulls back the curtain on what's allegedly really happening in Dallas's minor hockey scene. The report suggests that the Stars' involvement isn't purely altruistic, and many families claim to have experienced what they describe as horror stories because of the organization's influence. Specifically, the allegations include threats and blackmail, painting a disturbing picture of youth hockey in the region. Unlike leagues like the NFL, NBA, and MLB, where professional teams typically maintain an arm's-length relationship with youth leagues, some NHL teams, including the Dallas Stars, are deeply involved in managing the youth levels of their sport. This level of involvement, while potentially beneficial, also opens the door to potential conflicts of interest and abuse of power. According to the USA Today investigation, the Stars have allegedly spent years turning youth hockey into a profit-driven enterprise, allegedly bullying families in the process. Content adds. So, what's the core issue? The Stars have reportedly gained significant control over minor hockey in the Dallas area by acquiring a large number of the region's ice arenas. This gives them considerable leverage over minor hockey organizations, which, of course, rely on these facilities for ice time. And this is the part most people miss. The article alleges that the Stars have been abusing this power. For instance, Lisa Bry, a former president of a local minor hockey association, claims that when she attempted to address issues within her organization, she was warned to remember who supplies her with the arenas. Despite the warning, she proceeded with her efforts. The Stars, in response, allegedly took control of the association, significantly increased prices, and limited ice time for young players. This effectively punished the association for not complying with the Stars' alleged demands. The article further reveals that parents who voiced concerns about the Stars' methods were allegedly told to remain silent if they wanted their children to continue playing hockey. This creates a climate of fear and discourages open criticism of the organization's practices. What's more, many of the ice facilities now owned and operated by the Stars were reportedly built using public funds, adding another layer of complexity and potential ethical concerns to the situation. Obviously, these are very serious allegations. Minor hockey should be a nurturing environment where young athletes can develop their skills and passion for the sport. But if these allegations are true, the reality in Dallas is far from that ideal. It raises the question, can this situation be turned around, ensuring that young players have a fair and positive experience in the sport they love? Over time, nice read on the CH's prospect. The hashtag GoHabsGo. Twitter.com/#GoHabsGo, SRC equals #ref, SRC equals Twitter, added a very interesting prospect to the mix when they moved up to draft 6'5" forward Hayden Papanekis. Check out where Montreal Canadiens fans ranked him among the team's prospects, as well as his strengths and weaknesses. https://ti.newq. Anne Mark Dumont, August 2nd, 2025. Twitter.com/MarcPDumont/status 1951675147295542. Ref SRC 5 ETFW. You may also like Ivan Demidov. Don't be surprised if he doesn't start the year on the first wave of AN. https://20508002. Ivan Demidov. Don't be surprised if he doesn't start the year on the first wave of AN. Top 15 Habs prospects, positions 9 to 7. Who would I choose instead of Żurawski? https://20508002. Top 15 Habs prospects, positions 9 to 7. Who would I choose instead of Żurawski? Indeed, no choice. Excellent players have to be left out. https://rs6bzlxyus. TVA Sports, August 2nd, 2025. Twinin.com/TVA Sports, status 1951670520. Ref SRC 5 ETFW. Tomorrow's schedule in Montreal at TVA Sports. https://twitter.com. Refcirc, Twitterkrint. Pick twitter.com at TVA Sports. Pick twitter.com/Frederic Gay. August 2nd, 2025. https://1951739303138. Refcirc, Twitterkrint. Status 195173. Twitter. Frenemy Gay. August 2025. August 2025. This situation raises some serious questions. Is it appropriate for NHL teams to have such extensive control over youth hockey programs? Does this level of involvement create an environment ripe for potential abuse? And perhaps most importantly, what steps can be taken to ensure that young hockey players have a safe, fair, and positive experience, free from alleged threats and intimidation? What are your thoughts on the role of professional sports teams in youth sports development? Share your opinions in the comments below. How the Dallas Stars monopolized Texas youth hockey. Imagine pouring your heart, your time, and your money into a sport your child loves, only to discover a single organization calls every shot, sets every price, and even determines who gets to play. That's the controversial landscape unfolding in North Texas, where the Dallas Stars, the region's $2 billion NHL franchise, have become an overwhelming force in youth hockey, drawing cheers for their investments, but also outrage for their tactics. And this is the part most people miss. Parents and local leaders feel powerless, describing a system where dissent seems to come at a cost. Let's start at the beginning. Lisa Bry, a parent turned president of the nonprofit Frisco Ice Hockey Association, expected productive cooperation when she met with officials from the Stars, who operated the rink her young athletes called home. Instead, she claims a top Stars executive delivered a chilling message. If the club didn't rehire two poorly reviewed coaches, the Stars could simply block access to ice time. Let me remind you where you get your ice from. Whether those exact words were spoken is disputed, but the threat was crystal clear to Bry. She was left wondering, why would a professional hockey franchise flex so much over youth coaching jobs? The answer, she soon found, is complicated and contentious. Unlike football, baseball, or basketball franchises, some NHL teams immerse themselves directly in youth operations. But Dallas takes it even further. Over 3 decades, the Stars transformed what began as a community endeavor into a very profitable engine, leveraging their power to influence or dominate almost every facet of regional youth hockey. Here's where things heat up. The Stars didn't build their empire alone. They convinced local governments to spend tens of millions in taxpayer money constructing ice rinks, promising to pay it back via long-term leases while pocketing profits in the meantime. They then snapped up private rinks, such that today they control 8 out of 11 major rinks within a 150-mile radius of Dallas, giving them an iron grip on who plays, who coaches, and at what cost. With so few alternatives, families and clubs face a stark reality. If you lose the Stars' favor, your access to hockey may disappear. This level of control has real consequences for everyday families. Consider what happened to Bry and her club after they stood up to the Stars. Suddenly, the Stars took operational control of more than 24 high school clubs, forcibly standardizing fees, dictating schedules, and reclaiming hiring authority over all coaches. Clubs lost the ability to negotiate ice time or seek outside sponsorships. Registration fees for players went up even as practice ice hours went down, defying USA Hockey's recommended minimums for student athletes hoping to improve. The Stars even stopped honoring pre-existing agreements for free ice time, leaving families unexpectedly on the hook for thousands of dollars. Controversially, the Stars have justified these moves by claiming they promote fairness and equality, consistent fees for everyone, fairer pay for coaches, and protection against capricious parent boards. However, critics argue this cheerspeak masks an uncomfortable truth. By controlling the ice, the Stars alone decide who advances, who stagnates, and who is simply left out. But the monopoly didn't happen overnight. When the Stars arrived in Dallas in the 1990s, hockey barely had a following, and the only full-size rink in the state went from community resource to private asset at the stroke of a pen. As the sport's popularity exploded, the Stars expanded fast, striking lucrative deals with city governments. Public money built the rinks, but private profits rolled in. Competition dwindled. In the most critical years, independent rinks closed, and once vibrant community leagues were absorbed or marginalized. A classic example is NY Tech Sports Center in Fort Worth. Their teams had played in Stars-run leagues for years. When NY Tech's introduced competing spring programs, the Stars, without discussion or warning, bounced them from key leagues, upending hundreds of families until the decision was reversed for the following season. Was this healthy competition or intimidation by a powerhouse entity? If you're thinking big business might lower costs or improve access, think again. Despite controlling almost every local rink, the Stars have repeatedly raised prices on league fees, travel tournaments, and crucially on ice rental itself. Families like Kat Pierce's end up paying up to $30,000 in a single year so their child can play for just one team and a travel club. When asked, Stars executives point to rising utility bills and general inflation. But isn't it telling that in states with robust competition, ice is more affordable and ice time more plentiful? There's also a social cost. When parents or coaches voice complaints, from poor officiating to excessive fees, they often face direct or indirect retaliation. Some have been banned for critical social media posts. One father was fired and briefly barred from rinks after inquiring about coaching elsewhere. Even expressions of frustration in parent forums have gotten families privately warned that their children's opportunities might suddenly vanish. And here's another twist. If you think you can appeal unfair treatment to a neutral governing body, that path is murky. The Texas Amateur Hockey Association, intended to safeguard fair play regionally, has been heavily stacked with Stars employees. Because voting rights are weighted by club size, the Stars' massive roster gives them near total sway. Some board members were even discovered profiting from hotel booking kickbacks tied to mandatory tournament stay requirements, sparking an ethics probe and resignations. Yet many suspect the culture of self-interest persists. The central controversy remains, is this the cost of progress or a clear case of corporate overreach? Monopolies aren't always illegal, but antitrust experts warn that leveraging market power to punish dissent or restrict alternatives, especially when public assets are in play, can slide into questionable territory. The stay-to-play mandates, where families must book hotel rooms through provider partners or lose tournament access, echo practices that have drawn legal scrutiny elsewhere. Some travel clubs have started their own league to escape the Stars' grip, but the Stars' dominance of the ice makes real competition difficult. Even as a few families win modest refunds for past overbilling or as new rinks rise, the system appears structured to benefit the NHL franchise above all. Here's the bottom line, and the debate at the heart of youth sports today. Can one giant company serve both community growth and its own bottom line? Or are these goals fundamentally at odds? Is the loss of local control worth the creation of premier facilities? And when dissent seems to carry huge personal risks, how can real improvement ever emerge? But now I want to hear from you. Is this monopoly justified by the Stars' investments, or is it an abuse of power? Should public money continue funding expansion for an already wealthy team? How should parents and players push back, if at all? Share your perspective below and let's get the conversation started. Where does the line between healthy competition and harmful monopoly truly lie? Exposed: how the Dallas Stars monopolized Texas youth hockey, NHL controversy. Recent revelations have shed light on the Dallas Stars' overwhelming dominance in Texas youth hockey, raising serious concerns about the implications for families involved in the sport. A thorough investigation by USA Today has uncovered how the Dallas Stars have established a taxpayer-supported monopoly over ice rinks in Texas, creating an environment where families feel intimidated to voice their concerns. When Lisa Bry took on the role of president of the Frisco Ice Hockey Association, she envisioned a position dedicated to nurturing young athletes and organizing teams. However, she never anticipated facing threats from a high-ranking executive of an NHL franchise. In April 2023, Bry had a meeting with Keith Anderson, a veteran official with the Dallas Stars who oversees several rinks owned by the team. After Bry had successfully removed 2 coaches who had received negative feedback from parents, she was confronted with a chilling remark from Anderson that she claims will stay with her forever. "Let me remind you where you get your ice from." This statement implied a stark reality for Bry. If she did not reinstate those coaches, the Stars could revoke ice access for countless children. Parents have expressed that the Stars have manipulated public rinks and employed intimidation tactics to dictate the future of youth hockey in Texas. According to the comprehensive report from USA Today, the Stars have transformed what was once a community-oriented sport into a lucrative enterprise, now holding sway over nearly every full-sized rink in the Dallas area. Over the years, they have acquired rinks, forged agreements with local governments, and systematically eliminated competition. This strategy has granted them total control over ice availability, coaching appointments, and the fees families are required to pay. One parent articulated their frustration to USA Today, stating, "If I have a grievance, there is no process for me because they control everything." When Bry declined to rehire the coaches, the Stars retaliated by stripping her association of its authority, imposing new fees, and reducing ice time. In some instances, families were charged for ice hours that were supposed to be complimentary, which violated existing city contracts. Those who dared to speak out reported facing backlash, including threats to their children's hockey prospects and demands to erase social media posts. In defense of the organization, Stars COO Dan Stuchel asserted that they have played a pivotal role in promoting the sport and take pride in their achievements, stating, "We're committed to continuing to grow hockey in the community and across the state." However, many families argue that this growth has come at an exorbitant price. Personally, I find it deeply troubling that parents are forced to choose between remaining silent or jeopardizing their children's opportunities to participate in the sport they cherish. This article was originally published on Blade of Steel and is shared here with permission.